Starting now. This is Real People. Real issues. Real news. Real people.
I'm Stephanie Allensworth, and this is Real People.
This is Real People.
Hi, welcome to Real People. I'm Stephanie Allensworth. My guest today is an actress, a makeup artist, an artistic skater, and also the founder of the URAM Movement. Please welcome Majentah Aquarious. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here, Majentah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. And, you know, from A to Z, we want to hear about the makeup artist and, you know, what you do for that. And you're a model, you do modeling. You're a professional artistic skater.
Yes.
And you have a movement going on. So you start and tell us where you want to start and where we want to go with this interview.
Oh, definitely. Yes. So I am a makeup artist and model, and I have my own makeup artistry company. I started that when I realized that there was actually a bunch of people being misrepresented and just forgotten about in the makeup artistry industry. You know, there's a lot of makeup artists out there who just don't have shade ranges that fit all skin tones.
Right.
So yes, they are harder to find, but as a makeup artist, I believe that you should make that easily accessible, and that's not the client's fault, that's yours for not having an accessible shade range. So I decided to start my own company, Art and Madness Makeup Artistry, and really close that gap in the industry so that everyone can come in and feel like they can get, you know, the quality makeup that they deserve regardless of skin tone, because I'm really fair. A lot of the times I can't find things to fit me, and I know that people on the opposite end of the spectrum have the exact same problems. So just kind of bringing that together with a little bit of research, and yeah, we've got it figured out. It's been pretty good.
Well, I think that's fantastic. Good for you for finding a need and then closing the gap on that. So
thank you
rock
so much.
On.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So how did you get into skating?
Yes, so I have been skating for, God, almost all of my life. I got into it when I was about 7 years old, and I kept going with it and really started professionally when I was about eight or nine, and I've just been going with it ever since, and it's been really one of the biggest blessings in my life so far to be involved with this community, but it does have some kinks.
Yeah, well, doesn't every community?
As every community does, yes, but just like with every community, when there are problems, we work to fix them. So
Exactly. Well, just like you work to fix the gap in the makeup industry, right? So
yes,
you're
definitely.
working on that too.
I don't think it should be such a big thing that people, you know, at the core of everyone's being, all people want to be is accepted for who they are and as they are. And that is the root of really so many problems. And I don't understand, if as a society we understand that, why it is such a big thing for people to address. You know, with people are outraged at the makeup community because they can't find shades that fit. People are outraged at the fashion community because they can't find things that fit. Why can't our companies and our legislators and our people not find ways? Why can't they find ways to encompass everyone and not just a certain group of people? And we're getting to a point in time where it's not acceptable anymore and people are speaking out.
Well, it's been a paradigm shift, actually, where
Definitely.
going from the Twiggy era, where, you know, if you're not 87 pounds and starved half to death, then you're, you know, you're not going to make it, and you've got to be 5'11" and, you know, 80 pounds. And that's ridiculous. And to wear clothes that, in my opinion, like, that's not every girl's clothes. That's not where would you wear that stuff? I mean, I know it's fashion. Fashion is art. But it's also, like, for the real woman, you know, us real people, you know, how do we don't just wear that to work, you know?
You know, I think work is a broad spectrum. I think so many people do so many different things, and while you may wear a suit and tie, some other one might wear a bikini or nothing at all. And I think all forms of work are acceptable, and while I do understand what you're saying with, you know, real people in the majority body, I think that people that are 5'11" and 87 pounds are also valid, and they also deserve to have brands that fit. I just think that fashion companies and people as a whole in general, companies in a whole in general, should be able to market clothes that fit everyone, from, you know, 5'11" and 87 pounds to, you know, short and stubby people that are, you know, a little bigger. It's not
Well, my point is the 5'11" and 87 pounds is not a natural weight for anybody, and sometimes the fashion industry that historically has said you're too fat, you're too fat, you're too fat.
Oh, definitely, that's definitely been a problem.
That's the kind of the point I was trying to make, where that's not reality. People are starving to death and making themselves ill to fit into a mode. Where now the paradigm shift has been that they're more accepting of the real women and our real weight and our curves. We have curves. The real women have curves. So,
Definitely.
And sometimes it's harder to fit the curves. So let's move on. Now they're making a documentary about you. And you want to talk a little bit about what that entails, because we have a clip we're going to show, but I want you to talk about it first before we bring it on.
Yeah, definitely. So my wonderful documentary crew and I have started a movement, and it is called the URAM Movement, and that stands for the USA Roller Sports Rulebook Amendment Movement. And that's a movement that I started when I realized that there was a lot of ambiguous and confusing language in our rulebook that was actually not only leading and leaving ourselves open to harassment and discrimination within our community, but encouraging it. And it was very concerning to me, so I set out on a mission with my team to really close some of those gaps, tighten up that language, and make it so that everybody could feel safe and included within our roller sports community. So the documentary is about how that process came to be, and just kind of the how we did it all, how we went from point A to point B, the writing process, the creating process, the going out there process, and just documenting it all, because I think that documentation is one of the strongest tools that we can use, because there have been so many instances in which people have been silenced, and I believe strong media is one of the most powerful tools and one of the best assets to any sort of movement. So I'm so thankful that this got to come together, and I'm thankful to tell this story.
Yeah, well said. Well, let's go ahead and run the trailer.
Definitely.
And we'll pick it up after that.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling like this is everything my career has ever led up to happening right now. So it might not be the ending that I anticipated. I can't decide if it's an ending or a beginning. It's something, but it's important. And I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to go and I'm going to skate. And hopefully I'll be able to keep skating. And if not, this will be my last hurrah. And you know what? It's going to be amazing.
Wow, that's awesome. Look at
Thank
those
you.
costumes, but I mean, above and beyond, you are creating a movement with this. But I just want to say, wow, look at you.
Thank you so much. I had help this year for that white costume with my beautiful friend Candy Kane. She helped me to design and put that one together. We were really thinking about the whole story and what we were trying to do and what we were trying to present at this year's nationals and regionals, and we realized that the broken mirror was a great symbolism for what was happening. So through both of those costumes, it's really reflected in the untraditionalism. Instead of using crystals and stones, in some of them we used actual dimes and nickels and pennies, along with a whole shard of broken mirrors, just to really represent that it's not about what you have on your body. It's about the talent that you carry within you, and it's about the other things.
Oh, wonderful. Now, the name of it is She Persisted?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. And you're wearing the pin. You're
I
spreading the
am.
pin.
I am. The pin actually inspired the name.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, I wore it the entire time that we were raising awareness through Missouri and Spokane. And when we were coming up with a name for the documentary, I couldn't find a better one that was fitting, because that's what we're doing. We are persisting. We faced a lot of negative feedback through our movement. And just to clear a couple of things up, I'd like to talk about, what it is, exactly what we're doing.
Go for it.
Definitely. So URAM is a movement, as I said before, to end discrimination and harassment in the roller sports community and hold people accountable for this. We've taken great steps in the last couple of years by adding Safe Sport. That's a program that really helps to fight, instances of sexual assault or abuse in the skating community, and that's something we didn't have before that we just added, which is such a huge step, and I'm so thankful for that. But our rulebook, it has a lot of spots that need help. We are looking to tweak a couple of places specifically. We are looking to tweak the discrimination and the harassment section, because, and definitely as a woman who, dresses in non-traditional costuming and has body hair and no eyebrows, my physical appearance is it's varied from the other skaters, and it's definitely led to me experiencing some of these instances. So the discrimination policy right now is essentially a long list of things that shouldn't be discriminated against. The typical things, age, race, sexual orientation, all of that, which is great, but it doesn't cover discrimination against appearance. And what that is leading to is it's a gateway that is allowing our judges and officials to act in ways and place biased judgments. And while none of this can be proven, when you talk to skaters, when you go and you really get knee-deep into our community, I've been talking to countless skaters, and everyone has a story. Whenever I told people the way that I felt, it was never, wow, Majentah, I'm sorry you feel that way, that's terrible. It was, yes, I've had a story of that too. Yes, that happened. Yes, I understand. Our community's filled with it. So what we're asking for is we're asking for our discrimination policy to cover discrimination against appearance, so judges can fairly judge people, not just based on, their choice of personal aesthetic, but the quality of skating itself and the adherence to the rules in the event, because no one should have to be judged on who they are as a person. If I can take all of my clothes and makeup off and still have these attributes, you have no right to tell me what to do with them at all whatsoever. And it's disgusting that members of our community think that that's okay to do. Another thing that we are asking for is a hardline harassment policy, because right now our harassment policy duplicates the same list as the discrimination policy, which again is great, but what kind of harassment, while some discrimination is essential in a judge sport, discrimination against, quality of skating, other things like that, what kind of harassment should be allowed in a judge sport? What kind of harassment should be allowed in any community?
None.
None of it. We need a hardline harassment policy. And while those examples are great, they should be treated as what they are, examples. Because otherwise it's a doorway. It's creating pathways for people to slip between wording, and it is not okay. Another thing that we are advocating for is tightening the ambiguous language within our costuming section. We have a lot of rules in there that just simply don't make sense. They're hard to understand and they're hard to follow because they are opinion-based. And when you are competing in a sport, especially a judge sport, something very professional like that, there shouldn't be anything in our rulebook that is opinion-based. That's ridiculous. That's just not okay. So some of the rules that they have in there is, skaters' costumes should be tasteful and appropriate, not theatrical in nature, and holding the high standards of USA roller sports. And, well, that's a great guideline. What does that mean?
So tasteful is just totally nothing
tasteful
but...
and appropriate.
Yeah, that's personal opinion.
I've always been very comfortable with myself and my natural body, and I find myself very tasteful and very appropriate, and I find myself that way with my jacket on, and I find myself that way with my jacket off and my armpits showing. That does nothing to do with my professionalism.
You just took your microphone off too.
Oh, I just took my microphone off as well. Oh my goodness. I guess I'll have to keep this on. But it has nothing
You still need your voice, my dear.
I do need my voice. Look at me. But the point that I'm making here is it has nothing to do with my professionalism. My professionalism and my quality as a skater and a human being is not judged by what I do on the outside, the makeup that I put on, the hair that I choose to grow, the hair that I choose to shave, my weight, my clothes. It's judged by my demeanor and my brain and my talents, as it is with every other skater, and that's what we are looking to do. Is just really give people that opportunity. I agree that a costuming policy needs to be there because, of course, there are some people who will try and push it. And while we can't have, nudity and other things in the sport, we need to find a way to create a policy that prohibits those things while keeping us safe from discrimination and harassment. And really, pointing to a rule and having skaters go, yes, I understand that, not that's subject to interpretation. Rules are not subject to interpretation. That's not rules. That's not how laws are made.
Right.
One of the last things that we are also fighting for is self-identification protections for skaters. And this also falls in the handout that we hand out. We also have a section called gendering and misgendering, and it all falls under the same category in this one. But right now, male and female skaters are separated into 2 separate divisions, which is great. It's great. It's great. But that leaves out so much of our community.
Yeah.
So much of our community. There are so many people in our community that do not identify as either man or woman, and that is fine because those are not the only 2 genders.
Right.
Gender is a spectrum. And as a community that is saying that we are inclusive, that is saying that we are open to all, that is sanctioned by our government and the Olympic Committee, we need to practice what we preach and be open to all. I'm not a judge. I don't create the rules. I don't know what we need to do. I don't know what divisions we need to move around for that to happen. All I know is that there needs to be a way that our skaters that identify as they and them and everything in between can skate safely as identified as themselves, because it's ridiculous. That also goes for skaters who are changing their name and go through a name change. While a lot of that community is our transgender skaters, there are so many skaters that are on the LGBTQ community or are not a part of the LGBTQ community that change their name. And right now, without legal documentation, it is very, very difficult. There's nothing in our rule book that says that skaters who change their name or go by a different name in their daily lives can use that in competition. And I didn't know that until I looked. But there's no policy on that right now. But if you talk to any judge or any official, it has to be your legal name. It has to be this. It has to be that. And it's just...
everybody in Hollywood has a different name. So how dare they?
It's absolutely ridiculous. And for me, my name is a very big part of who I am. And it has, over the years, I worked very hard my entire life to compete as a roller skater. And going through the name change process is a very long and difficult thing to do. And a lot of the times you don't get a new birth certificate. That's not a thing to expect. You get a supplementary document saying you changed your name, and a lot of the times you have to present both. And it's very, very difficult. And I know that as I was working very hard to be a competition roller skater and to, rise up and focus as much as I could on my career, it was always this overwhelming sense of doom of, every time I skate, I'm not going to be able to skate as myself. I'm going to be skating as someone else. And it's been so hard. It's been so hard to know that the second that I step out onto the floor, the greatest moment, the thing that I've been working for all year long, almost every single day training for, is just going to be stripped from me. And when everybody looks me up, they're not going to find me because it's under a different name. And just the feeling of shame that I would feel when I stepped off of the floor and people came up to me, hey, dead name, you did a great job. Dead name, you did a great job.
What?
You should be happy. But that's all they know you as because that's what they announce you as. And it's so hard. A lot of the times after I skate, I would actually throw up in the bathroom because it made me feel so vile.
I'm just going to stop and let everybody know what dead name means, okay?
Yeah.
And it's your given name at birth, and if you're not using that, they call it a dead name.
Yes,
correct?
definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just imagine that there are so many other skaters out there going through the same problems. But of course we don't know because we don't keep track of it. So when people try and counteract this movement by saying, if there's someone in the sport like this, they'd let us know and we'd figure it out. That's a common thing that I've been getting. I'm that person in the sport. You haven't figured it out. And it hasn't been working.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So protecting...
Oh, man.
This movement is not about me, and it's not completely based on my experience. It is based on gaps that I have seen for community members that I have met that are just not getting their needs met, are not getting the respect they deserve at a basic human level, and they deserve that. People are concerned with us, taking away their freedoms to, wear a dress, do this, go by their name, act feminine, act traditionally masculine, and we're not doing any of that. We don't want to take away anything from any of our skaters. We just want to make sure that everyone who is in our community right now or wants to join our community at any point in time feels welcome and has the right channels to do so that they can skate as they should, as their self, and be proud of their career, because it is hard work.
Everyone has that right.
And the skating community is filled with so much love. There are so many people, for a long time we've been struggling with our numbers. And not a lot of people know what artistic roller skating is. Our community is fueled by the love and support of our members. There are so many members that do so much incredible work on a volunteer basis just to keep the sport alive. And it's amazing how much love surrounds our community. And I know that if we can work as hard as we have up until this point to keep our sport alive, if we can come together and not fight within ourselves, but work to welcome in every member of our community, could you imagine how far we could go? Could you imagine how far we could go if everybody banded together to protect the entirety of our community and move us all forward, instead of fighting within ourselves about who or who not is legitimate and who or who not gets to skate? Because we all get to skate.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I can tell
We all
you're
deserve to be here.
so passionate about this.
I am so absolutely passionate about this, and the amount of negative feedback there's been a lot of misinformation going on about the URAM movement and what we're doing. A lot of people think that we're against artistic roller skating, which is just the funniest and silliest thing, because I want to continue my skating career. I want to keep going. I want to keep doing things, I can't feel in good conscience. I cannot keep skating when I know that so many members are being discriminated against and kept out. And I also can't keep skating knowing that I'm being kept out in some way.
Well, I'm just thinking here out loud, but how about you creating your own band and your own group that do you not feel like, are you trying to do that, or are they too scattered about?
I could start my own artistic roller skating club if I wanted to. It's a difficult process, but yes, it could be done. But I don't want to take away from our community. I don't think that running away from something is solving a problem.
Okay.
Running away from this community and keeping them uneducated and in the dark and like how they are right now, it's not solving the problem. I love my community. Contrary to popular belief, I love my community and I love artistic roller skating almost more than I love anything else in my life. I don't want to run away from my community more than I already have. I want to bring us all together in a way where we can all skate and just feel good. I want people to, there's been instances, people have come up to me in private telling me, I went through years of anorexia because I felt like I never fit into the community. My coach told me that I had to dye my hair blonde because blondes do better at Worlds. I had to stay under a certain weight, over a certain weight. Yes, I've been discriminated against. I lost an event because my costume looked too old. Everyone has a story. And while getting these protections in a rule book isn't going to nip these problems right away, it will make it so that when people do feel like they've been harassed or discriminated against in any way, they can point to a spot in the rule book and look and say, I think this person did this and this is where it's wrong, and we can proceed from there. And there will be groundwork, because right now when something like this happens to you, everyone goes, oh, that's really sad, I have a story, or you just gotta, that's what the judges want. And that is not okay. What the judges want should be clean jumps, clean turns, good figures, good loops, quality of edge, great. They should not want, perfect hair, armpit hair shaved, under a certain weight, costumes made with an A, B, and C year. No, they do not get to dictate that. We work too hard to be silenced by things that are just basic and human.
And I would, maybe it's just me, but I would think that they would embrace some originality coming out, and your personality comes out with those costumes and with what you're doing.
They do. They say that they do. But a lot of the feedback that I've been getting, you know, for myself, my armpit hair has been a big thing for some reason. I've been told that I need to wear costumes with sleeves. While every other person in my division can wear sleeveless costumes, I need to wear costumes with sleeves because my armpit hair is ugly and unsanitary, and it's actually neither.
Oh my gosh.
Beauty is subject to interpretation, but here's the really great thing. The judges can have that. They cannot judge on that.
Yeah.
And neither can any official. If any official who is not my friend that I am privately going out with, you know, having lunch, doing something, if I am in a skating rink, if anyone is in a skating rink and they are told anything about their physical body by an official, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That cannot be allowed. And it sticks in these people's brains because we have a lot of young people in our sport. And that's another reason why we are advocating for, you know, the name changes without legal paperwork, because you can have both of your parents on your side to get your name changed as a minor, and it's still a very difficult, long, and expensive process. And skating is also very expensive. A lot of the members of our community just don't have that extra money. And if you've been living as someone in community as your entire life, like, yes, I agree that you should have to sign up, you know, with your birth certificate, with your social security, because we do need to make sure that, you know, everyone is who they say they are, blah, blah, blah. But if at the doctor's office you can write down your preferred name, why can't they do it there? We need protections for our skaters because right now we're being disrespected on our most basic and human level, and that is just not okay. And it's hurt me so much. And I don't even represent all of the categories I'm fighting for. I couldn't believe it. People say that we don't have people on the queer spectrum in skating. People say that we don't have gender fluid people in skating. Do you want to know why we don't have people who change their names who are gender fluid who are on the spectrum in skating? Do you want to know why? Because there's nowhere for them to go. We don't know they exist.
I gotta wrap us up. We got 3 seconds left.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you so much,
Thank
honey,
you
for
so
being
much.
here.
Yes, thank you.
Come see us next time on
Yes.
Real People. Thank you for keeping it real, and thank you for keeping it real.
Always.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter. We're also streaming on YouTube, so check us out there. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's free.